Keanu Reeves had always believed he knew his family well. Born in Beirut, raised in Toronto, and now living a life far removed from his roots, he had never expected a simple letter to turn his world upside down. It arrived on a rainy afternoon, the kind that made the city streets shimmer under the glow of streetlights. The envelope was yellowed with age, sealed with a wax stamp he didn't recognize. Curious, he opened it carefully. Inside was a handwritten letter from his late grandfather, a man Keanu barely remembered, but whose presence lingered like a shadow in family stories. The letter was dated decades ago and contained something he never imagined, a cryptic message hinting at a secret about their family lineage, something hidden to protect them all. "To my grandson," the letter began. "If you are reading this, then the time has come for you to know the truth about who you really are. Our family's past is tangled in stories you were never told, stories that could change everything you believe about yourself and the people you love." Keanu sat back in his chair, the letter trembling slightly in his hand. What truth could be so important that his grandfather took years to reveal it? And why had no one else in the family mentioned this before? The letter urged him to visit a small town in the Canadian Rockies, a place his grandfather called home long before Keanu was born. The message ended with a set of coordinates and a warning. "Trust no one but yourself, and follow the clues carefully. The past is not as it seems." Keanu's mind raced. He was an actor, known worldwide for his roles, his calm demeanor, and his kindness. But this letter hinted at a reality far different from the life he'd lived under the spotlight. That evening, he called his sister, Kim, someone he trusted deeply. "Kim," he said slowly, "I just got something strange. A letter from Grandpa. It talks about a secret family history." Kim's voice was cautious. "Keanu, are you sure it's real? Maybe it's some kind of prank." "No," Keanu replied, eyes fixed on the glowing letter. "It feels real. I want to find out the truth. Maybe I should go to the Rockies." Kim hesitated, then said, "If you do, take someone with you. And be careful. You never know what you might uncover." The next morning, Keanu booked a flight and packed lightly, the letter folded carefully in his jacket pocket. As the plane ascended, he couldn't shake the feeling that this journey would change everything. Arriving in the quaint mountain town, Keanu was greeted by crisp air and the scent of pine trees. The locals eyed him curiously, a famous face in a quiet place. He followed the coordinates to an old cabin, weathered by time, nestled against the backdrop of towering peaks. Inside the cabin, dust particles danced in the afternoon light. On a wooden table lay a faded photograph, an old family portrait with faces he recognized, and some he didn't. Among them was a woman who looked strikingly like Keanu, but with a sadness in her eyes. A journal lay beside the photo, its pages yellowed but intact. Keanu opened it carefully and began to read. The entry spoke of love, sacrifice, and a secret birth that was hidden from the world to protect a child. Suddenly, a knock at the door startled him. A woman stood there, her expression a mixture of concern and recognition. "You're Keanu Reeves," she said softly. "I've been expecting you." Who was she? And how much did she know about the secret his grandfather hinted at? Keanu hesitated, the journal still open in his hands. The woman's eyes held something familiar, an echo of recognition, but also a guarded wariness. "My name is Mara," she said, stepping inside as Keanu silently nodded. "I knew your grandfather well, more than anyone else did." Keanu studied her. Mara was in her late 40s, with sharp features, softened by years of quiet resilience. She carried herself with a strength born of knowing hard truths. "Why have you been expecting me?" Keanu asked. Mara sighed, taking a seat by the window. "Your grandfather trusted me. Before he died, he told me to watch over the truth until the right time. That time is now." She gestured toward the journal. "What you found there, it's only the beginning. The secret your grandfather kept safe was about your mother, Keanu's breath caught. His mother was someone he thought he knew, an ordinary woman who raised him and his sister with love and quiet strength. What could there be to hide? Your mother, Mara continued, was part of something much bigger than just this family. She was connected to a group that fought against corruption and injustice, a group your grandfather helped lead. Keanu frowned. I don't understand. Why would she hide that? And why keep it from us? Mara's eyes darkened with sorrow. Because it was dangerous. They made enemies, powerful enemies, who wanted to erase anyone who stood in their way. Your family's past isn't just about personal secrets. It's about survival. Keanu glanced back at the journal. There were names, dates, cryptic notes about meetings, and coded messages. So, what happened to her? To Mom? She disappeared, Mara said quietly. Vanished without a trace when you were very young. Your grandfather said it was to protect you and Kim. A wave of emotion surged through Keanu. Confusion, fear, and a strange sense of betrayal. Why hadn't his family told him? Why had this mystery been buried? Is she alive? Keanu asked, hope flickering inside him. Mara shook her head slowly. I don't know, but the clues your grandfather left might lead us to her, or at least to the truth of what happened. Keanu closed the journal, feeling the weight of the journey ahead. The comfortable world he'd known was gone. Now he was stepping into a shadowed past filled with danger, secrets, and a chance for answers. Then I want to find her, Keanu said firmly, no matter what it takes. Mara nodded. Good, because you're not the only one looking. At that moment, a sudden noise from outside snapped their attention to the window. Keanu moved to the door, peering cautiously out into the fading daylight. A black SUV was parked a few yards away, engine idling silently. The driver's face was obscured behind dark sunglasses, but there was no mistaking the intent in those cold eyes. Looks like someone's been watching, Mara whispered. Keanu's pulse quickened. This was no ordinary family secret. It was a dangerous game, and the stakes were higher than he imagined. As night fell over the mountains, Keanu realized one thing. Uncovering the truth about his family might put everything he loved at risk, including himself. The black SUV's headlights cast long shadows on the worn wooden porch. Keanu's instincts kicked in, honed from years of playing characters who faced danger, but this was real. Mara stepped beside him, her gaze sharp and unyielding. We can't stay here, she said quietly. They know you're here now. Keanu nodded. The cabin, once a place of refuge, now felt like a trap. Without hesitation, he grabbed his jacket, the letter and journal safely tucked inside. Mara led him down a narrow path that twisted through dense pine trees. The air was thick with the scent of earth and rain. Keanu's heart pounded not just from the chase, but from the uncertainty of what lay ahead. Who are they? Keanu asked, trying to keep his voice steady. Those who want to keep the past buried, Mara replied. There are people with power, people who will do anything to stop you from uncovering the truth. They hurried through the woods until they reached an old ranger station, long abandoned but hidden from the main road. Inside, Mara pulled down a map pinned to the wall, marked with several locations. This, she said, tracing a finger along the lines, is where your grandfather left clues. If we follow them, we might find more about your mother and why she disappeared. Keanu studied the map. It led to places scattered throughout the Rockies, a secluded cabin, an old mining town, and a forgotten cave system. Each location seemed tied to a piece of the puzzle. Suddenly, a faint noise outside made them freeze. Footsteps crunching on gravel. Someone was coming. Keanu moved to the window, peering through a crack in the boarded-up glass. Two figures approached, their faces obscured by hooded jackets. They're looking for us, Mara whispered. We don't have much time. Keanu's mind raced. He couldn't help but wonder who these people were and how deeply the conspiracy ran. Were they government agents? Mercenaries? Or something even more sinister? We need to split up, Mara suggested. It'll make it harder for them to track us both. Keanu hesitated. Part of him wanted to trust Mara completely, but he also knew the risks. All right, he agreed, but we stay in contact, no matter what happens. They exchanged phones, setting up a secure line. Then, with a final nod, they slipped out separate back exits into the night. Keanu moved quickly, keeping to the shadows as he made his way to the first location marked on the map, an old mining town several miles away. The streets were deserted, the buildings worn and weather-beaten, relics of a forgotten era. As he walked, his thoughts returned to the woman in the photograph, the one who looked so much like him. Could she be his mother? What had she sacrificed to keep him safe? Suddenly, a soft sound behind him made Keanu spin around. A figure emerged from the darkness, a young man with intense eyes and a confident smile. "Keanu Reeves?" the man asked. Keanu's guard went up immediately. "Who are you?" "My name's Dylan," the man said, holding up a hand. "I'm here to help. I've been following your family story for years." Keanu narrowed his eyes. Was Dylan an ally or another threat? Before he could answer, his phone buzzed. Mara's voice crackled through. "Keanu, be careful. They're closer than you think." The chase was only beginning, and Keanu was no longer just searching for answers. He was fighting for the truth to survive. Keanu studied Dylan carefully. The young man's eyes were earnest, but Keanu had learned to be cautious when strangers claimed to have answers, especially in a story as tangled as this. "Why come to me now?" Keanu asked. "Why risk getting involved?" Dylan glanced around nervously, then leaned in. "Because your family's secret isn't just history. It affects people today. Powerful people who want to keep their crimes buried." Keanu's phone buzzed again, Mara's voice urgent. "Dylan's not lying. But don't trust him completely. There's more at stake than you realize." The contradiction set Keanu's mind racing. Was Dylan a friend or a pawn? Or something in between? Before he could respond, a sudden crash echoed down the street. A truck barreling toward Keanu at high speed. Keanu dove to the side just in time as the vehicle screeched past, tires skidding on gravel. The driver shouted something unintelligible, then sped away. Dylan's eyes widened. "They're trying to scare you off. They know you're close." Keanu's pulse surged. This wasn't just about secrets anymore. It was about survival. "We need to find your mother," Dylan said firmly. "There's a safe house nearby your grandfather used. It might hold more answers." Keanu nodded. Together, they raced through narrow back alleys and overgrown trails toward the safe house, a small cabin hidden behind a curtain of evergreens. Inside, the air was thick with dust and memories. Bookshelves lined the walls, filled with journals, maps, and photographs. Keanu pulled out the journal he'd found earlier, comparing it to the new materials. Suddenly, a photograph caught his eye. An image of his mother standing with a group of people, including Mara and a man Keanu recognized as his grandfather. But there was something odd about the picture. Someone's face was scratched out. Dylan noticed Keanu's focus. "That person," he said quietly, "was someone important, someone who betrayed them." The weight of betrayal settled in Keanu's chest. His family's fight against corruption had been torn apart from within. As night fell, Keanu and Dylan pieced together fragments of the past, clues about covert meetings, stolen documents, and a dangerous figure known only as the director. Mara's warning echoed in Keanu's mind. Trust no one. Yet, despite the danger, he felt a flicker of hope. For the first time, he wasn't alone in the search. But as they prepared to leave the safe house, the sound of engines and shouting drew near. "We've been found," Dylan said grimly. Keanu grabbed the journal and the letter. "Let's move." Outside, the forest was alive with flashing lights and voices. The hunt was on. Keanu and Dylan sprinted through the dark woods, branches whipping past as they fled from the approaching voices and flashing searchlights. The hunt for the truth had turned into a desperate race for survival. "Over here," Dylan whispered urgently, pulling Keanu toward a narrow, barely visible trail. They pushed through the thick underbrush, the sound of their pursuers fading but never far behind. After several tense minutes, they emerged into a small clearing illuminated by moonlight. Keanu took a breath, steadying his racing heart. "We need to find the last clue your grandfather left," Dylan said. "There's a cave nearby, hidden beneath the cliffs. It's where everything started." Keanu nodded. His grandfather's letter had mentioned a cave, a place where the family secret was buried deep. Together, they made their way to the jagged cliffs overlooking the valley. Hidden by vines and moss, they found the cave entrance just as the first hints of dawn painted the sky. Inside, the air was cool and damp. Stalactites hung like ancient chandeliers, and the ground was uneven underfoot. Deeper into the cave, they found a carved wooden box sealed with an old emblem, the same as on the wax seal from the letter. Keanu opened the box carefully. Inside were documents, photographs, and a small, worn locket. He opened the locket to reveal a faded picture of his mother, smiling softly. A folded letter lay beneath the keepsakes. Keanu unfolded it and began to read aloud. "To my beloved grandson, if you are reading this, then you have found the truth I could never tell you before. I am your mother, and I disappeared to protect you from those who wished to destroy us. Our family fought for justice, but in doing so, made enemies that hunted us relentlessly. I left to keep you safe, hoping one day you would understand. The journey ahead will be hard, but you carry the strength of our family within you. Never forget who you are." Keanu's eyes misted with tears. After years of questions and pain, he finally had the answers. "Your mother is alive," Dylan said softly. "She left these so you could find her when the time was right." Suddenly, a noise echoed from the cave entrance. Keanu turned to see Mara standing there, her expression a mix of relief and determination. "We need to get out of here," she said. "They're closing in fast." Together, the three fled the cave as sunlight broke over the mountains. Outside, Keanu felt a new resolve burning inside him. The secret of his family was no longer a shadow, but a beacon, guiding him toward a future he could shape on his own terms. As they disappeared into the rising sun, Keanu knew one thing for certain. Some secrets may be buried, but the truth always finds a way to be revealed.